Welcome to More Faith with Keisha. My first name is Keisha and my last name is Moore. And on this channel, we talk all things, most things faith. I love to give my faith testimonies to motivate, inspire, and encourage you to keep the faith. And that includes traveling and traveling solo if you're on a budget. So this video, I want to talk about my recent first solo cruise. Okay, I want to give you a little bit of backstory of how I planned so that it can be a budget friendly trip, and how God opened up the door for me to meet some wonderful people while I was on the trip so I wouldn't be alone. So, give you a little backstory. I didn't grow up traveling, I didn't grow up taking trips. That's just it. We took family reunions here and there, driving to like Texas, Arizona, but nothing major. When I was in my 20s, early 20s, late 20s, 30s, still didn't take any trips. I thought that trips were for people who were financially wealthy, who had money. I didn't even realize how inexpensive sometimes, depending on the airline, plane tickets could be. I thought plane tickets were like thousands of dollars. So I just never took a trip. I didn't research. I didn't know. And I want to just encourage you, if it's something that you always have the desire to do, take the time to just search it out, watch videos, go online, Google search, whatever it is. Just get a little bit more information about it. Don't let years go by and you don't experience something because you think that is out of your reach or is something that's unattainable to you. It can be so in your budget. It can be something that's so attainable if you take out the time to plan. So I just want to encourage you to do that because, I'll let years go by before I even took my first real trip. So just want to encourage you to do that. So let me just give you a little bit more information of how I planned the trip. So first, I was reaching out to some family, some friends, like, hey, do you guys want to take a cruise? Hey, but you know how it is. Sometimes when you're reaching out to people and you have to wait for a response or they have to check their work schedule, they may make it, they may not, they take a few days to let you know, which is understandable because I probably have been that way too. But it was just like, man, like when you want to do something, you have to get comfortable with doing things alone, because if you have to wait for other people to do it, you may not ever do it and you may not ever experience. Don't let time go by where you wait and you don't experience something because you're waiting for other people. I was one of those people who did that for years. I wouldn't even go to the store by myself. But let me stay on target or on topic. Let me stay on topic. So I was like, you know what? I've taken a cruise before. I know what it's like. I know what to expect. I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of research, see what cruise lines are within my budget, and I'm just going to book a solo cruise. One of the things that you should do if you're planning a cruise or any type of trip, try to plan it as far in advance as you can, because when you plan things and you do things in advance, you do get better pricing. And it gives you time to store up the money and pay a little here and there for things that you may need while traveling. For example, when you go on a cruise, you may want to go the day before so you don't end up missing out on the departure. So you'll have to get a hotel somewhere near the cruise port. You'll have to pay for the plane ticket. Just do a little bit at a time. So I figured out a cruise line that was within my budget, and it was actually MSC. I watched a few YouTube videos to get some feedback about the ship, the cruise line, just what to expect, because I had never took a cruise on MSC before. I took a cruise on Carnival and Royal Caribbean, but MSC I had not. So within the cruise line, they also have different ships. I do like newer ships, newer hotels. So I kind of narrowed down the ship that I liked, and it was called the MSC Seashore, which was a really beautiful, beautiful ship. Like, oh my gosh, like I loved it so much. It was so nice. And it was so like budget friendly. So I'm looking online and I'm like, okay, for one person, it was like around $500. It was a 4-day, 3-night cruise. And I was like, $500? And a lot of people were kind of comparing MSC to the Spirit airline, but I beg to differ because, you know, sometimes when things are newer, they may cost a little less so that people could book and they get the experience and they start to build their clientele. So I was kind of reluctant at first. I was like, okay, I don't want to have a bad experience. I don't want this to be like the, you know, budget friendly cruise line. But that was not the case. It's just a newer ship. It's a newer cruise line. They're European based. So they're new, you know, newer to the US. And they have some older ships and they have some newer ships. So the Seashore, the one that I cruised on, it was actually a newer ship, and it was like $543. The first night it would stop at Nassau, Bahamas, and then the second night it would stop at MSC's private island. Every cruise line, they have their own private island, and they usually sometimes stop at their private island if you cruise there. So I was like, okay, like this is, you know, within my budget. And I planned this like maybe 4 to 5 months prior. So it was like $500, and I put my deposit. My deposit was $50. I actually put down $150. So one of the things too, when you're planning a trip, you want to try to pay as much as you can so that when it gets closer to the trip, you don't have to pay out of pocket this, you know, lump sum of money. And one of the things I want to recommend, because I don't do this, I don't travel, I don't use like credit cards. Like I don't finance my trips. If you have a credit card and you know you're going to pay it off right away because you actually have the money, that's a different thing. But I don't actually like to go into debt to travel, because I think that's one of the worst things. Like you're living your life, you're having fun, you're traveling, but you're actually going into debt and you have to pay that money back. So I prefer not to do that. Every trip that I've taken, I've actually paid out of pocket. I paid cash for it. So I just want to, that's just my advice. Don't go into debt traveling. So I actually paid a deposit, $150, and then I had, I think, like 60 days to pay it off. So I was like, okay, I have 60 days to pay it off. I can pay half in 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks I'll pay the other half. Again, when you're traveling on a budget, on your, you know, you're paying for everything yourself, just kind of like try to break it down into big chunks, not too small and not too big where you feel the impact of your wallet or your bank account, but just kind of like divide it maybe into like 2 or 3 payments. So I did that. I ended up paying it off. So I was like, okay, cool. So I paid that off. And the next thing I needed to do, I was like, I need to pay for my hotel and I need to pay for a flight. So one of the things that I want to recommend too, if you are a person who is on a tight budget and you may say, you know what, you look at the flight and you don't have enough money to pay for the round trip, you can book a one-way. So you don't have to pay for the round trip. Maybe one paycheck, you'll say, I'll pay for this one-way ticket to get there. And then maybe next month, you'll say, I'll pay for the one-way ticket back. There you go. Just kind of break it down into increments. So that's what I did. I paid for my plane ticket. After my plane ticket was secure, a few weeks later, I paid for my hotel. So again, you want to make sure you get to the cruise port a day before. That way you're not rushing, and that way you don't miss the departure. So I just kind of like just broke it down, paid everything. That this trip, one of the things, I am on a no spending year. So I will give you more information on that. Now, I mean, no spending, buying unnecessary things like clothes, shoes, accessory, things that I don't need. So I was like, this is going to be the first trip that I don't buy anything. I didn't buy anything new for the trip, just a few undergarments, things that I needed. But other than that, like I didn't buy any shoes. I didn't buy any new purses. I didn't buy clothes. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did do, I got my hair braided and just a few other things. But I was like, let me look in my closet and see what it is that I can find, things that I probably have never worn or will never wear. I haven't worn in, maybe a long time. So I looked in my closet. I had a lot of like cute little dresses, things that I could, bring, shorts, swimsuits. I didn't buy anything new, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, 2025 is going to be a different year where I'm not wasting money and spending frivolously. So I did that. You don't always have to buy everything new. Don't worry about posting pictures on the gram. You need a new outfit. You don't want to. I do not care. At this point in my life, I'm going to post. If you see me wearing one outfit that I wore on another trip, so be it. I am worried about more of an experience as opposed to spending my money just on things to be, seen for others. So that's another little tip. Look in your closet. See what it is you can wear. Do you have a sister? Do you have a cousin? Like, hey girl, do you have a purse I can borrow to wear with this outfit? Something of that sort. Just kind of do things different. Like, don't let not having everything new stop you from, again, an experience, treating yourself. Okay? So it was a really good, cruise. So I was by myself, and the first night of the cruise, when I got there, everything was good. You will see a lot of couples on cruises, and you'll see groups of people. So I was by myself. I was like, okay, just whatever. The first night I went to dinner. They put me at this big old table where it was just me. And I'm like, why did they put me at this big table when I'm by myself and everybody else was sitting at the table with their family, loved ones, or whatever it was? And I was like low-key kind of like embarrassed. And I'm like, they could have put me at a smaller table, but I didn't realize they put me at a table where other solo travelers were supposed to sit. They just didn't come to dinner that night. So that was that. The next day, I was like, okay, God, when the cruise stopped in Nassau, Bahamas, and we were going to get off the ship, I was like, God, I just pray that I meet some good people that I can hang out with, and I don't have to like walk around by myself the whole time. So while I'm in line to leave the ship to go, do my little thing in Nassau, Bahamas, this couple was like, oh, you can go in front of us. Isn't that your friend? It was this other girl. And I was like, no. I was like, no, I didn't, come with her. I came by myself. And then the girl was like, oh, I came by myself too. She was like, come up here with me. I was like, okay, girl. So we get in line together and we start talking. I was like, where are you from? And she was from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was like, I'm from California, but I currently live in Georgia. And we just clicked and vibed so well. It was like we've known each other for years. So again, when you go on these trips solo, don't be shy. Don't feel like, you can't talk to people. Like, talk to people. Just kind of be more outgoing, be open. You'll be surprised. There will be other people traveling solo too, and you guys can kind of like hang out. So me and her, we started talking. It was like we known each other for years. She was like, okay, so what do you plan on doing today? So I told her what I planned on doing. She told me what she planned on doing. So we came up with a plan and we just did everything together. And we had a blast. I'm telling you, we had so much fun just walking around, shopping, doing our little touristy thing. And she ended up being a Christian as well. And we started talking about our relationship with God. I was giving a little bit of my testimony. She was giving a little bit of her testimony. And we were just, inspiring each other. So it was just so crazy. It was so God ordained. And I'm so glad I took that trip by myself and I didn't worry about, oh, something's going to happen because I'm alone. Oh, be careful. Like anytime I go somewhere, especially if I'm by myself, I always use wisdom. I pray, and God, is this something that I should do? If God says yes, then I proceed. And there's been times when I've planned things and God is like, no, don't go. And I don't go. So I always try to make sure, I pray and seek God before I make a decision, especially going somewhere by myself, being a woman. However, so we were talking, just cracking jokes. We just had like so much fun. And I was like, what level is your room on? She was like, my room is on 11. I was like, my room is on 11 too. And we just started cracking up laughing. And I was like, what time is your dinner? So when you go on a cruise, they assign you a specific time to go to dinner. And she was like, my dinner arrangement is at 9:15. I was like, oh, my dinner arrangement is at 9:15 too. So it was just so crazy. So we get back, we separate. She goes to her room, her cabin, and I go to my cabin. We rest up for later that night. We ended up meeting up. They were having like this bingo, big bingo game on the cruise. So everybody was out like playing bingo. And when I met up with her again, The crazy thing is, I see her with this other girl, and she was like, Keisha, this is so and so. She's traveling solo too. And it was like, okay, so now it's three of us, three ladies who are on a solo cruise, and we all mesh together like we've known each other for years. So we're just talking, chit chatting, and then we get ready to go to dinner. And we was like, okay, let's all go to the dining hall together. And sometimes they assign you different dining halls. The crazy thing is, me and the girl that I met earlier that day, we were assigned the same dining hall. Our ticket, we were assigned the same table. So I was like, you left me hanging last night. Like, you were supposed to be on at that table with me having dinner. And she was cracking up laughing. So the three of us walked together to go to dinner. So while we're walking up to the table, we see this other guy. He's sitting at the table. And we were like, oh, are you traveling, solo? And he was like, yeah. So now there's four of us. So we're all at the table together and we're just cracking jokes. I was like, you guys left me hanging last night. I was like, now I understand why they assigned me to this seat, because you guys were supposed to be there and you didn't. And they were just like cracking up, laughing or whatever. So we're making jokes, laughing. We go to karaoke. From karaoke, we go to the comedy show. From the comedy show, they went to the casino. I don't gamble, so I went back to my cabin and went to sleep. So here's the thing. Don't let not having someone experience something with you stop you from experiencing it. You will meet people when you get there. I understand. You may say, I don't have money to travel. I don't have money to do this and that. Stop saying what you don't have and start planning what you want to do. Do you know how many times I've actually planned things when I didn't have money and I prayed and just asked God to open up the door for me to be able to experience it, and it happened? Okay? So just take the time to plan. Don't be afraid to do something that may not cost a lot of money and you think it's like a low budget or people are going to make fun of you. Don't care about any of that. Go and experience it. You will have a blast. So on this video, I hope it motivated, encouraged, and inspired you to take the leap of faith, to get out more, to enjoy life. Don't be stagnant waiting for things to happen. Don't wait for the bank account to be full. Start with where you are, and even if that's alone, and you will meet people along the journey. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching More Faith with Keisha, and you have a blessed day. Bye.